Peter Obi, former presidential candidate of Labour Party, he has cried out. He said, "My life and that of my family are being threatened because of my New Year message." You're going to listen to what he said. This is what Peter Obi is alleging. Now, there are people who are quick to say Peter Obi is kind of drumming into the emotions of Nigerians the same way he had done with Bishop David Oyedepo in that leaked audio where he wanted to use religion. He wanted to use religion, saying this is a fight between Islam and Christianity. Now, the thing is this: Bishop Oyedepo's ministry, or whatever it is that he believes in, does not align with the denomination of Peter Obi, meaning Pentecostals do not align with Roman Catholics. If that is cleared out of the way, I think we will move forward. What exactly is this thing? What is really happening? He wrote this: "Have I really crossed the line?" I ask the question because my New Year message has now led to threats against my life, my family, and those around me. While I have received all sorts of messages, one Mr. Felix Moka has gone further to accuse me of crossing the line and has warned that I will face the consequences. I find it necessary to share this message again and urge everyone who has not seen it to watch. If I have truly crossed the line, I invite anyone to point it out, as I remain committed to upholding decorum. However, I will not be silenced in my resolve to speak truthfully, especially as our nation continues to drift towards undemocratic practices. We are increasingly transforming into an authoritarian and repressive regime where freedom of expression is being systematically suppressed. May God help us create a better and a freer society for the sake of our children.
Fellow Nigerians, Happy New Year. As we begin the new year 2025, it has become imperative for me to speak to you as a Nigerian interested in the progress of the country. The political, economic, and security situation of our country is worsening daily, despite contrary positions and claims by the government of improvement in all spheres of human endeavor. Our national challenges are visibly worsening. Our nation and its fortunes are in clear reverse. The indices are clearly indicative of our decline. Thus, Nigeria remains one of the poverty capitals of the world, with over 100 million in extreme poverty and more than 150 million fellow Nigerians. Happy New Year. As we begin the new year 2025, it has become imperative for me a multi-dimensional poverty. The situation has deteriorated significantly in the past 18 months under the current administration. As a nation, we are falling from being the highest GDP in Africa in 2014 at $574 billion and per capita of about $3,500 to now ranking the fourth with a GDP less than 50% of what we were a decade ago, about 200 billion, with per capita less than a third, about 1,000. Our nation remains one of the multi-dimensional, most insecure and least peaceful in the world today, with countless communities and families displaced from their homes and now living in IDP camps. According to the Global Peace Index report, Nigeria ranks 143 out of 163 countries in terms of peacefulness, an indicative of high level of distress. Food insecurity has become a national norm, making Nigeria one of the hungriest countries of the world. Gainfully employed and middle-income Nigerians now spend nearly their entire income on feeding, with some resorting to borrowing to eat, just to eat. For those living on margins, low-income earners and unemployed, the situation most insecure is even more there. The newly approved minimum wage of 70,000 cannot afford a bag of rice or even half a bag of beans. As a result, many Nigerians go to bed hungry, while a significant number now rely on palliatives and charitable support. Tragically, this has recently led to several avoidable deaths. Nigeria in 2024 Hunger Index is ranked 110 out of 127 countries measured, reflecting a critical level of hunger and food insecurity. We have earned the dubious distinction of being one of the countries with the largest number of people without access to electricity. In 2024, is even more there. The newly approved minimum wage of 70,000 cannot afford a bag of rice, despite the abysmal and unacceptable power generation and distribution. The frequency of national grid collapse increased significantly. The frequency of national grid collapse increased, where we have almost 12 times in 12 months. As a result, we are now mockingly referred as a generator country. This persistent lack of adequate energy supply continues to hinder our national development. Corruption, official efficiency, fiscal profligacy, and the mismanagement of public resources continue to rise astronomically in our country, spreading across all spheres of government. Similarly, nepotism and disregard for the Constitution, rule of law, despite the abysmal and due process, have become the norm. Our national debt has risen astronomically from approximately 15 trillion in 2015 to over 100 trillion today. This sharp increase has occurred within the last 18 months under the current administration. Ironically, these borrowings are largely allocated to non-generative programs and projects, leaving little to tangible development assets. Inflation remains an all-time high. Businesses are collapsing, and manufacturing companies are barely surviving, further contributing to already high unemployment rates and due.
So this is what Peter Obi said he said, and they said he has crossed the line. Well, it depends on who is saying Peter Obi is crossing the line. Is it supporters of APC or people who do not like the tribe that Peter Obi is from, or people who felt that Peter Obi was bringing in religion sentiment when he was speaking to Bishop David Oyedepo, saying this is a battle between Christianity and Islam? Well, those that are fond of this administration or have faith in this administration, believe in this administration, will definitely not like Peter Obi. And those who are Muslims who felt that Peter Obi was bringing in religion sentiment will not like Peter Obi. Those who are not from Peter Obi's tribe, some of them may not like Peter Obi. Definitely, it will come with all of this. Now, he said he's being threatened. His family is being threatened, and those that are around him, they are being threatened. He said he has received all sort of messages, and even made mention of one Mr. Felix Moka that he had said that he crossed the line. Saying that someone crossed the line is not a threat. If I say you have crossed the line, it is what follows that matters. It is good that he's crying out, and don't forget that people still have this thought towards Peter Obi. But the thing that Peter Obi did was to cry after the elections. That was a rubbish thing for him to have done. He cried. That is rubbish. That is rubbish. Why did I say it is rubbish? You might have all the thoughts to better Nigeria, but when you become president, all of a sudden, you become overwhelmed. Your approach to put things right will somehow backfire, and it will not work. Why? Your approach. Now, some people have argued, they said Peter Obi looks at government or governance in a trader way, that he doesn't understand how things work. I want you to understand that there is this IMF blueprint that definitely has been created to enrich the Westerners. Talk about Europe, talk about America. It has been created to make sure that countries will remain in servitude. Imagine if you are trading in dollar, and dollar is just a piece of paper that can be printed. They can print as much. It means they can never run dry or run down on it. And they are trading a useless piece of paper that they want to put value upon, and that they have put value upon on your own mineral resources that is difficult to get, that is precious to you, and cannot be gotten anyhow. What does that tell you? That is what IMF is created for. That is what they created IMF for. To make sure that it regulates and it creates a blueprint. In fact, they have tutored a lot of professors using the IMF blueprint. And that is what they are simply repeating, educating their people in the same way and version. That's the simplest of it all. So how do you get out of this? Is Peter Obi going to get in as president and flow and follow the IMF blueprint? Is he going to look at it and say, no, this is not going to work for us? Is he going to say, we have been trading dollars. Let us trade. We cannot fight everyone. And all of a sudden, people will be like, oh, Peter Obi, you are now in. Look at what you're saying. I hope Peter Obi will become president. I hope he will become president. I hope, so that we can see. What am I hoping for and wishing for? And I think this is what it should be. I want Bola Ahmed Tinubu to finish his 4 years. And I want Peter Obi to be able to kick him out so that we can see. That's what I'm hoping for. About the threats to life, well, I don't know what he is really saying. It might be that it's being threatened, but I don't think Peter Obi will be the kind that they want to eradicate. It could be that at the heat of the elections, after Mr. Tinubu has been declared winner, maybe some people by now say, okay, let us hurt Peter Obi. So it will not appear as if we decided to take him out because it was going to push. It will create instability in Nigeria. It will create instability, and a lot of focus will be on Nigeria. And I don't think Tinubu wants that kind of thing. So let's say after election, whatever they do, Bola Tinubu comes in again. And then after a while, maybe after like a year, then you will hear that something bad happened to Peter Obi's enemy. May God not allow that. My hope is that Peter Obi will step in and do 4 years. Let us see what Peter Obi can do. The problem we have is this. Hoping on one person is not good enough. What we need is for us to sit down and create a system that works synchronously, empowered in its own units, arms of government, empowered to be able to do and undo. And of course, integrity. That is what majority of them lack. Integrity. They lack integrity. And the sooner the better we put an end to this thing called Nigeria, the better we all feel, because majority have this mindset that Nigeria is just, a group of population gathered in a place. We don't have the same culture. We don't have the same tradition. We don't speak the same language. We are just there. There is this thing that is not making it work. We have to deal with this. But if we are to stay together, then We should be talking of equal rights, justice, and we need to cut off some excesses, some replication of government duties. Why should we have the Senate? I think these are some of the things that Peter Obi talked about that prompted some of them to say, Mr., you will not come in.